Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we will be covering AWS Serverless offerings or the services we can say. So AWS offers different serverless services under multiple categories. So we'll see what all services are there. In the previous video, we have seen what serverless is, some advantages or challenges of serverless. So that will help you in deciding whether you should go for serverless or server-based approach. Coming back to this video, so here we can divide this into mainly three categories. First is compute. So there are different services that are offered under compute category. Let's say Lambda functions and Fargate. Then the other category is data stores. Here we have some storage like S3. We have some databases like DynamoDB or Aurora Serverless and so on. And finally, there is one more category for serverless services, that is application integration. Here services such as SQS, SNS and so on comes. So we'll cover all these category and we'll see what all services are coming. So under compute category, we have two serverless services, that is Lambda and the Fargate. So basically Lambda allows you to run your code without provisioning or managing the underlying servers. Next important point here is that it is an event driven platform. That means in case of some event, you can trigger a Lambda function, such as if we upload a file to S3, then you can trigger a Lambda function based on that. With Lambda function, you have to just upload your zip file that is having the code, and Lambda allocates the resources or the compute for that. There are different languages that Lambda supports, such as Node.js, Python, Go, Java, and more. There are different use cases where Lambda fits in well, such as web applications, machine learning, data processing. So you can use Lambda at all these places. Next is Fargate. Basically, Fargate is a serverless compute for containers. This is for containers and it is compatible with both ECS and EKS. ECS is Elastic Container Service and EKS is Elastic Kubernetes Service. ECS helps you in deploying, managing, and scaling the containerized applications, whereas EKS allows you to use Kubernetes on AWS. So with Fargate, you provide serverless compute for both these services. So if I just compare two scenarios, that is with Fargate and without Fargate. So without Fargate, you need to deploy some EC2 instances in order to run your ECS or EKS clusters, and you will pay for the EC2 instances all the time they are running. But with Fargate, you need to just define your memory and compute requirement, and you will be paying for the resources that are used, not the one that is allocated. So that is the benefit that we get from the serverless. So you will pay for the resources that are being used only. So before we move to the next category, that is data store, if you find the value in what we do, then please do consider subscribing to this channel for regular updates and also drop a like on this video. Thank you. So let's move to the next category, that is data stores. So there are different serverless services that falls in the data store category. So out of these, some are storage, some are file system, some are databases, some are caches as well. So let's start with S3. So basically, S3 is a object storage service. With S3, you get high scalability and security, and at the same time, it offers great performance as well. You can store and protect any amount of data in S3, and it can be used for variety of use cases such as data lakes, website. You can use S3 for cloud native applications. You can have backups in S3. You can store archives in S3. You can use S3 for machine learning and analytics as well. So S3 can be used for wide variety of use cases, and S3 is one of the most widely used services from AWS. Next service is that is Elastic File System. This is a serverless and fully elastic file storage. With EFS, you can share your file data without provisioning or managing the storage. EFS automatically grows and shrinks as you add or remove files without any requirement of management or provisioning. EFS can be mounted on EC2 instances, containers, Lambda function, or your on-premises servers as well. Next is DynamoDB. It is a serverless NoSQL database. It is fully managed and it provides single-digit millisecond performance at any scale. With DynamoDB, there is no need for server provisioning, patching, or management at all. Additionally, you need not to install any software as well. So there are multiple use cases where you can use DynamoDB, such as you can use it to develop software application, or you can scale your gaming platforms, or you can create your media metadata stores in DynamoDB as well. Next is RDS Proxy. It is a fully managed, highly available database proxy for Amazon RDS. So it is a DB proxy. It makes your application more scalable and resilient to database failures. It allows your application to pool and share the connections that are established with the database, and hence it improves the database efficiency and your application scalability as well. Basically, RDS proxy sits between your application and RDS. If I just quickly draw it here, let's say this is my RDS proxy, then let's say this is my RDS database, and this will be my application. So RDS proxy sits between your application and the RDS. So the next service under data store category is Aurora Serverless. So before we understand what Aurora Serverless is, we need to first understand what is Aurora. Aurora is a relational database service that is compatible with MySQL and PostgreSQL. Now, coming to Aurora Serverless, it is an on-demand auto-scaling configuration for Aurora. It automatically starts up, shut down, and scales capacity up or down based on your application need. You can run your database in cloud without managing any database instance at all. With Amazon Aurora Serverless, you can create a database, specify the desired capacity range, and connect your application. And the good part is that you will pay on a per second basis for the database capacity that you use. Moving to the next service, that is Redshift Serverless. Basically, it is a data warehouse service. Redshift Serverless makes it convenient for you to run and scale analytics without having to provision and manage data warehouses. It automatically provisions and scales your data warehouse capacity to deliver fast performance for demanding and unpredictable workload. Again, you will pay only for the capacity that you will use. Moving to Neptune Serverless, it is a graph database. Firstly, it allows you to run and instantly scale graph workload without the need to manage and optimize the database capacity. It automatically determines and provisions the compute and memory resources to run the graph database. It scales up the capacity based on workload, and it can scale down your capacity as well, again based on your workload. Next is OpenSearch Serverless. With OpenSearch, you can search, visualize, and analyze up to petabytes of text or unstructured data. It can be used for log analytics or full text search. So with serverless, it removes the operational complexities of provisioning, configuring, and tuning your OpenSearch clusters. Finally, under data store category, we have ElastiCache Serverless. It is a cache management solution and it can instantly scale to support the most demanding application. With ElastiCache Serverless, you can create a highly available and scalable cache in less than a minute. Again, it will eliminate the need to provision and manage your ElastiCache cluster capacity. It automatically stores your data across multiple AZs, and you will pay for the data stored and compute consumed by your workload. As you can see that under data store category, we have multiple serverless services. we have some object storage, file storage, we have databases, like we have NoSQL database, we have relational database as well. We have data warehouse, we have graph database, and we have some caches as well. Moving to the next category, that is application integration. Under application integration category, we have services that allows different components of our application to talk to each other. These are mainly used in case of distributed application. So here you can see that we have SQS, that is a queue service. We have SNS, that is a notification service. So these services connect different components of the application. So let's start with EventBridge. So if I just speak about event-driven architecture, in this style, you build a loosely coupled software system that works together by responding to particular events. So with EventBridge, you can route your events from sources such as AWS, third-party software, to consumer application across your organization. So here you can create some events, and these events can trigger some services. Let's say it can trigger a Lambda function. EventBridge includes two ways to process events. That is, first, you can process events via event bus. Another is event pipes. There are multiple use cases for EventBridge, such as you can use it for monitoring and auditing. You can schedule your apps via EventBridge as well. Moving to the next service, that is step function. Basically, it is a visual workflow service. It helps developers in building distributed applications, automate some of the processes. They can orchestrate microservices as well, and at the same time, they can create machine learning pipelines. So there are multiple benefits that step function provide. Like it has built-in error handling. You can monitor your event history. Being a serverless service, it automatically scales. It is high available, and finally, you will pay per use. So there are multiple use cases for step function. You can use it for ETL processes, like that is extract, transform, and load. You can orchestrate large scale parallel workloads as well, or you can use it to orchestrate microservices. So the next service under application category is SQS. This is simple queue service. SQS is fully managed message queue service for microservices, distributed system, or serverless application. It allows you to send, store, or receive messages between different software components at any volume without losing any messages or requiring other services to be available at that time. So with SQS, producers can send messages to the SQS and consumers can pull the messages from the queue. So there are two types of queue that you can create: standard queue and FIFO. So with standard queue, message ordering is not preserved. FIFO is first in, first out. So the message ordering is preserved. That means the order in which the messages are sent to the queue, messages will be processed in the same order, like first in, first out. Next service is SNS, that is simple notification service. It is a fully managed pub/sub service, publisher subscriber service. It provides message delivery from publishers to subscriber. Here, publishers can communicate asynchronously with subscriber by sending the message to the topic. So let's say this is my publisher. They can send the message to the topic, and the consumers or the subscribers can subscribe to that topic. So they will receive the message. So clients or the subscribers can subscribe to the SNS topic and they can receive the published message. With SNS, you can have application to application notification. That means you can send notifications from one application to another, or you can have application to person notification as well. That means you can send some notification from application to person via SMS, text, or email. Next service is API Gateway. It is a fully managed service that makes it easy for developers to create, publish, maintain, monitor, and secure the APIs. You can create RESTful APIs or WebSocket from API Gateway. API Gateway handles all the tasks involved in accepting, processing up to hundreds and thousands of concurrent API calls. It acts as a front door for application to access the data, business logic, or functionality from your backend services such as EC2, Lambda, or any web application. Let's say if there is some consumer that is accessing the API gateway, so they can connect to API gateway, and further API gateway can return the response from your Lambda or EC2 or any web application. Finally, moving to the last service under this application integration category, that is AppSync. So AppSync connects applications to data and events with secure, serverless, and performant GraphQL and PubSub APIs. AppSync simplifies application development by letting you create a flexible API to securely access, manipulate, and combine data from one or more data sources. It is a managed service that uses GraphQL to make it easy for application to get exactly the data they need. There are multiple benefits associated with AppSync, such as it provides simplified data access. You can have real-time data access and updates via AppSync, and it provides simple publisher subscriber APIs. So that's what I wanted to cover for this video. If I just quickly summarize, here we have seen multiple AWS services. Under compute, we have seen Lambda, Fargate, then we have seen data stores like S3, DynamoDB, Aurora Serverless, and so on. And then finally, we have touched upon application integration services like EventBridge, SQS, and SNS. So here we have covered around 17 serverless services from AWS. I hope you like this session. Then please do drop a like on this video and also subscribe to this channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.